Of what significance was the readmission of the South African Football Association to FIFA? Is the 20th anniversary of Bafana Bafana's winning of the 1996 Africa Cup of Nations worth celebrating? Did the hosting of the 2010 FIFA World Cup tournament benefit those who invested in the event? And is SAFA still behind Tokyo Sexwale's FIFA presidential candidacy? What time is it? It is question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Tsedu. After being banned by FIFA for many years due to the Apartheid policy, the South African Football Association was readmitted to the World Football Governing Body in 1992. 4 years later, the country's football squad made history by winning the Africa Cup of Nations in 1996. The hosting of the 2010 FIFA World Cup by South Africa is another milestone achieved by SAFA. However, questions have been raised as to whether the World Cup legacy funds have filtered down to the development of football in townships and villages. Meanwhile, yesterday marked the 20th anniversary of Bafana Bafana's winning of the 1996 Africa Cup of Nations. A reminder that we are live. Therefore, you can call us. Your views, the number to dial 089-110-4210, 089-110-4210. Our Twitter handle @QuestionTime24. And by the way, you can also Skype us and Google Hangout. Just send us your username via the Twitter address @QuestionTime24. My guest today is Dennis Mambo. He's the Chief Executive Officer of SAFA. Dennis, welcome to Question Time.
Well, thank you very much for having me here.
Have we as South Africa put the bar too low, celebrating 20 years of winning the Africa Cup of Nations?
Not really. I think there's been a lot of celebrations in the last few weeks already. People have been out there talking. I know the legends have been out in the media. The legends have been invited to come and talk to so many different platforms. I think people are still recognizing and appreciating what we achieved in 1996. So I think the country generally is acknowledging that achievement of 1996. So I think it's the celebrations are out there. People are playing little tournaments all over the place. So I think there is recognition of what has been done, and the SABC itself has been coming to the party on this one and recognizing this event and this achievement in 1996.
Okay, talking about legends and veterans, we actually have one on the line. Neil Tovey, you were a member of the 1996 AFCON winning squad. Are you happy that you were the only ones who actually won this tournament? Neil?
He's very happy.
I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm saying, are you happy that you were the only squad that actually won this tournament? 20 years later, people are still talking about 1996. Does this make you happy, or you're concerned that at least there should have been other winning squads?
Well, it's got a twofold effect. Obviously not happy that we've only done it once, but at the same time, it just shows you how difficult that competition is to win. And when, as I've mentioned quite often, that playing that tournament, when we're playing very much for the honor of the jersey and to win the next match, and didn't quite think the significance of the occasion in terms of how difficult it is to actually win that African Cup of Nations.
But now, what would you say makes it impossible to win it again?
I don't say it's impossible to win it again. I just said it's very difficult competition. It's probably even harder than any other competition in the FIFA calendar. So FIFA, it's an extremely tough competition. Africa is a keenly contested continent at the moment, with really top players in every country. So it's not a case that you should just turn up and win the competition. It doesn't work like that.
What is the current crop lacking?
just think that maybe a little bit of the mental strength. If obviously there's ability in the local teams, a local team, but I think just our team was very, very strong mentally, and in every match, you're going to come up against it, and there's going to be moments in the match where it gets difficult. I just think that our team had the ability to make those moments as short as possible, and then to take over and to do what we needed to do. But it happens, and maybe we have in the past just thought that it would be a natural process, which obviously it's shown that it's not even close to that.
But if you look at what has happened since then, Neil, in the next round of the competition, South Africa played in the finals. Then the following round, they played in the semi-finals. And then, they were going until they were gone. Sometimes not even playing.
Yeah, well, that's why there's a Vision 2022 in place now to make sure that we can create a new generation that can win the competition and address a lot of issues of the coach education programs, our youth development, our high performance, and all those areas which will create better players and a pathway for better players in the future, that we can have better national teams and hopefully go on to achieve the heights that we achieved in '96. But let's not forget that in the last 6 months we've had great achievements by our national teams in the women's senior national team has qualified for the Olympics. The men's under 23 qualified for the Olympics. Yeah. And the under 17 went to the World Cup. So we're getting there slowly. I think there's a new turnaround and a new change, and it's part of my portfolio to try and make an improvement in that regard.
Neil Tovey, thank you very much for joining us, and wish you all the best indeed in your job. Dennis Pambo, development has always been spoken of, but before we go into that, let me take Gwanele in KZN. Gwanele, welcome. Gwanele?
Yes, how are you, man?
I'm well. Thank you for the call.
Thank you very much, man. Hey, man, not to forget the great achievement in 1995. I think it was an awesome achievement, not only for South Africans, but for Southern Africa.
Yes.
But we cannot do this again simply because the structures that are set in by SAFA, I think, are not as good as the structures, for example, that are set by SARU. Now, if you look at the structures that are set in by SARU now, you've got the biggest schoolboy tournament in the world, basically, which is the Coca-Cola Craving Week, and that structure has put in about 80%. Out of 80% of the boys that play, they go into the South African rugby team. Yeah. Now, if you look at football on the other side, only structures that are set there are for senior players. You've got the SAB League, you've got the Vodacom League, you've got the Mvela League, which is leagues for people who are older. So development are not pushing in players into the South African side, which can stand for us. Because if you look at other countries, you look at players, structures like Manchester City, getting developments from London who are coming into South Africa to scout players and taking them out of our country. So we are not producing our own players. Okay. So for me, I think that's why.
Okay, Gwanele, thank you very much for the call. Dennis, perhaps your response to it.
Yeah, no, thanks. I think the points that Gwanele is making are quite valid, and this is the thing that we sat down, what is now almost 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, assessed. We met 200 of our top coaching minds in the country, and they told us the very same thing. We took our eye off the ball when it comes to development structures, and we need to reestablish those structures. We took our eye off the ball in updating our coaching manuals, for instance. We went and we did that, and I think we are well underway right now, as Neil has said, in putting together our high performance programs, because that's the piece that was missing after 1996. We did not solidify our high performance programs. In other words, at the very senior level, as well as all the way from the senior level down to the junior level, or from the junior levels all the way to the senior levels. And what we've done over the last 3 years, in particular accelerating that in the last 18 months, is to put this Vision 2022 program in place to focus on those shortcomings.
Okay.
Get all of our junior leagues up and running, which we now have 341 local football association junior leagues running, under 13, under 15 and under 17. They're playing week in and week out over a longer period of time and not just in a few weeks.
Yeah.
We're changing the school's football season. I'm happy to report next week we're going to have a meeting with the Department of Basic Education, a workshop with the Department of Basic Education to kick off the school's football program.
Okay.
So that by the end of February we'll kick off schools leagues, hopefully in all 341 local football associations, but in partnership with Sport and Recreation South Africa and the Department of Basic Education.
Hold it there. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, talk about whether SAFA is still behind Tokyo and what happened to the millions that were awarded to SAFA after the 2010 World Cup. The numbers to dial 089-110-4210.
In Africa, technology has created many new ways of doing things.
ICT is an increasingly important part of everybody's life.
It's being used in education, for social media, and now for farming too.
The best thing about internet for a farmer is that we get to share information.
On Network, we give you all the important African technology and social media news. That's Network with Ms. Phumelele Zondi every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time, only on SABC News.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. My guest today is Dennis Mumble, CEO of SAFA. Now, Mr. Mumble, let's clear the Tokyo issue first. Is SAFA still behind Tokyo?
SAFA is still behind Tokyo.
And you think he'll win?
I don't think there's much more that we can say about that. Whether he will win, that answer will be supplied to us tomorrow when the consultations with CAF are concluded. The president of SAFA is in Kigali as we speak right now, and Tokyo Sexwale is also there. And they, for the last 2 days, have been working to see what the level of support is on the African continent, and whether they can get CAF support. We will recall that after we announced, we said we were going to wait for CAF to also take a decision, but in the meantime he must go out and campaign. We must support him, which is what exactly what we've done. So we'll see what all of that work has amounted to after tomorrow's meeting. We'll make an announcement after that.
So, but do you really think that he will win?
Well, he said and we said we don't enter these things to lose. But we must also be realistic, is that there are 5 candidates in the race. All 5 candidates are probably asking the same question that you are asking about whether Tokyo Sexwale will win. We hope he will win. We're still there, hopeful that he can first and foremost get CAF support, because the basis for this campaign, first and foremost, is that this must be a SAFA candidacy, a South African candidacy, and an African candidacy. Now, if you cannot get the support of the country, if you cannot get the support of the African continent, then it wouldn't make any sense to continue. And that's the basis on which we've campaigned as well, because we've always said it is Africa's time to now take the lead in FIFA. We are ready and we can lead FIFA if given the opportunity. So we hope that the work that has been done so far will pay off, but that's all really up to CAF tomorrow to assist us.
All right. Anonymous, you're calling us from KZN.
Yes. Hello, sir.
Welcome.
Hello. Yes. what I would like to say is that South Africa, I won't support that we get FIFA, right? Because this country is still a racist country, right? We fought for democracy, right? When it came to sports, right? Sam Ramsamy said that there's no normal sport and abnormal society, right? But we still got racism in sports. You got transformation, that means blacks only, right? There's no other races. It's only blacks living in this country. Mandela said, all the people that live in this country, right, they got the right to live in the country. Yeah? It belongs to all of us, right?
Black and white together.
You got only your transformation here, right?
Yes.
Pirates got blacks only. And
who's got blacks
only? Everything. So, why is there democracy? Tell me. Can you tell me what democracy is?
Oh, you're saying Orlando Pirates has black players only?
Yes, that's all.
Okay.
The Indians are regarded as blacks. But,
yes, but what else did you want to be?
You know, those days, apartheid time, they said colored and other colors.
No, Anonymous, what else did you want to be if you are not black?
Yes.
Okay, Anonymous clearly
right.
doesn't.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. But let's talk about this subject of transformation, nevertheless.
Yeah, well, you know what, I thought I picked up something that he said in the beginning there, that, you know, we're not ready for FIFA because we're still a racist country.
Yes.
You know, we must not be derailed by racism. We were never derailed by racism. We overcame formal apartheid in the past. Given the brutality of that system, we still nevertheless overcame it. There is nothing that stops us from overcoming lingering elements of racism in this country. And I have all of the hope for us moving on. With respect to transformation in football, I think we can all agree, and everybody agrees, that we're probably the most transformed sport in the country.
Correct.
If you mention Orlando Pirates, perhaps it needs to just Google Orlando Pirates or go to the Orlando Pirates website and check and see how many players of color in the Orlando Pirates squad and who is working on the Orlando Pirates. And similarly for all of the other teams in the Premier Soccer League and in the National First Division. And also perhaps he needs to go to his local football association and take a look to see who participates there.
Lungile, you're in Cape Town. Welcome.
Welcome. Well, I would like to ask Mr. Mambo, is Africa united towards Mr. Tokyo's bidding? Because it seems to be the problem, as I'm sitting here looking at it, it seems that the Francophone countries, they will support Mr. Jerome Champagne. And because most of their money is coming from the other side. Yes. And we here at the bottom, we are a Commonwealth countries. I think there will be those conflicts leading up to the president of the African man. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What he's saying is actually very true, because it happens even in politics. This Francophone and Anglophone colonial mentality still prevails.
Well, you know, I think people in football are generally the same as people in political circles anywhere. People club together based on their cultures. Yeah. People, you know, have an affinity to one another based on their geographical proximity to one another and all of that. So friendships and alliances are always struck on the basis of that. But I think we under the banner of CAF, we've done very well to unite the African continent from a footballing perspective. You know, the success of the Africa Cup of Nations, the success of CAF's junior tournaments, the success of CAF's development programs generally have brought the African continent together. And I don't think, you know, that there are any artificial barriers right now to keeping African football united. And so, yeah, there are going to be regional differences like there are in any other spheres of life on the African continent. And as I said, we can still work together. We have been working together, and I think very successfully so.
Okay, now let's talk about money. The Legacy Trust, R500 million. What happened to that
I'm
money?
glad you asked that question.
Yeah.
That money has been put to work. That money is there. You know what we did in 2008 when this topic was first raised? We said that whatever the benefits there are coming from this World Cup, the hosting of this World Cup, we must put that money to use for football development.
Yes.
And we took that 460 million that we got from FIFA, put it in a legacy trust. You know who are the directors on the legacy trust? There are representatives of labor, there's representatives of business, and representatives of government, and representatives from football. Because we said we want to make sure that those funds are used exclusively for development. And as I talk to you right now, that legacy trust is funding 341 local football associations leagues, the leagues that I've mentioned to you before, under 13, under 15 and under 17 leagues. We bought computers, we bought cell phones, we give them airtime, we gave them printers, we've just given them 52 card scanners to make identity cards for players. Those things are at work in our regions and in our local football associations. In addition to that, there are other programs that the Legacy Trust also supports. So far, the Legacy Trust has made grants and sponsored programs and supporting programs to the tune of 230 million rand of that 450 million rand. Okay. Now, there is still about 350 million rand left in the Legacy Trust that we will still use to promote football development in the country. The money is there, it's accessible, it is used for development.
Good. Let me take Lester in Cape Town very quickly. Lester?
Hello, hi, thank you very much. Listen, I just want to speak again about goals. We don't score any goals in our football. You know, you look at England. I mean, this guy Jamie Vardy. Now, this guy comes from from nowhere. They plucked him up from and he's putting English football alight. Where are we seeing this development in South Africa? Why can't we score goals? We're not getting anywhere in Africa. We can't even qualify for African tournaments, because simply we can't put the ball in the net. And that's the name of the game, What are we doing about that? Why can't we score goals? Why do we always want to play in front of our own goal and not in front of the opposition goal? Why don't we put the ball in the net, and what are we doing about that? Please, man.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm not so sure if you will have the answer to that question.
Yeah, well, a little bit about that. I wish Neil Tovey was on the phone here again. Yeah. But that's one of the tasks that we gave to Neil Tovey as our technical director for South African football. And one of Neil Tovey's tasks is to go and answer those questions. In the next month or so, you will hear a little bit more about a national football philosophy that's being rolled out. We've completed the development of that national football philosophy, so we can have a unified football system that everybody can follow in the country. Neil has given me a draft of that. We are having some internal discussions with our national team coaches. We've consulted with some people. There's some football brains in the country that we said we needed to touch bases with, the likes of Ted Dumitru and our coaches in the Premier Soccer League, in the National First Division, in the ABC Motsepe League. All of those coaches we are going to consult over the next month to make sure that national football philosophy reflects the South African style of play, so that we can do the kinds of things that he is talking about. But one of the key things is, why are we not developing strikers? You will get hopefully you'll begin to get some answers when that national football philosophy comes out.
Okay, perhaps as we close, Dennis Mambo, support, it's something which the national team lacks in terms of attendance. When Pirates and Chiefs play, it's packed. Sundowns and Pirates, Sundowns and Chiefs, it's always packed. Celtics games, they are packed. But when it comes to Bafana Bafana, somehow it doesn't happen. And in the past, I know that you used to play neighboring countries. When are you going to play Zimbabwe, where all these fellow Zimbabweans will pack up FNB?
Hey, we can't. we can't. We make sure that South Africans must fill up the stadium. Okay. We go to Durban, the stadium is filled up. We go to Nelspruit, the stadium is filled up. We go to Cape Town, the stadium is filled up. We go to Nelson Mandela Bay, the stadium is filled up. There are some odd circumstances where it's not possible. When we play a weekday match, for instance, it's very difficult to schedule properly because people are coming from work. They can't get to the match on time. After the match, sometimes transport is a problem. We try and arrange all of that as much as we can. But I think I must just disagree with you slightly there. The national team is still supported. You'll see the television ratings. In fact, the SABC will tell you television ratings are increasing for Bafana Bafana. It's the only...
But bumps on seats.
Yeah, we are working hard on that, and we're working with the PSL to make sure that also happens in the league.
Sure, Bafana Bafana versus Zimbabwe could be a sellout, but we'll talk about it.
It's always a sellout. Bafana Bafana is always a sellout. It is the most supported sports team in the country still as we speak today.
Okay. That was question time for today, and it doesn't look like Zimbabwe versus Bafana Bafana is on the cards.
It will happen.
Thank you very much for watching the show. Have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye.